G'day everyone, welcome to Voice in the Wilderness. I'm Brian, dropping in for your 15-minute wrap, just like we do, down to earth, straight talking topics. Today we're going to dig in to a story from Queensland that's got a lot of people stirred up, the push for so-called castle law change. Now we'll unpack it, see what it means, the good and the worrying bits, and what it says about our own community, our laws and our values. So let's just get stuck into it. I'll bring up the news story so you can watch it as well. Okay, so this is from the ABC. Castle law petition closes with record supporting Queensland. So in short, support for a push to change the self-defence provisions in the state's criminal code has more than tripled since last year. It would do away with the stipulation of reasonable force for self-defence, allowing people to defend themselves against a home intruder by whatever means necessary. That one phrase in this whole thing concerns me a little bit. Now, the petition will be presented to Queensland Parliament and referred to the Attorney General for a response. So I'm not going to go through this whole article. It's you can find it online if you want to. Support for a push for Queensland homeowners to be able to use lethal force against intruders has tripled since last year. The Queensland parliamentary petition on castle law has closed with more than 122,000 signatures from Queenslanders, the highest ever number of signatures for a public e-petition. It's the second attempt by the Qatar Australia Party to bring the bill before the Parliament, with the previous petition signed by more than 40,000. So that's a big jump from 40,000 to 122,000. Kaz Hutchings, the lady here, she experienced a home invasion while caring for her grandchildren in Townsville in July this year. Miss Hutchins, who chased the intruder out of her house onto the street as he came through the front door, said she backed the idea. It is something I would support. She said, whatever force is necessary, it's just a bit too broad though, and I agree with her. In honesty, I believe you could get carried away with yourselves, and that's my concern as well. I'll go into more of that in a minute. Now, it would allow for self-defence in the case of a home invasion by whatever means necessary, rather than by use of reasonable force stipulated in the current law, which I also have a problem with, because the government seems to use that reasonable force to sort of say, no, you're going to go to jail for defending your house, your property. Now, where are we? The expression of castle law is not known to the criminal law of this state. It's some sort of euphemism developed by somebody or without other reference to law. Now, the government says it has no current plans for change. The number of victims of crime in Queensland has fallen by 6.5%, according to data collected by Queensland Police and reported by the Christodoulou government in mid-October. Now, every single one of us knows that Queensland Police are always transparent and honest in what they tell us, and they tell us everything we need to know. They don't. They're not very transparent at all. I've spoken to police officers that reckon that even lawful licensed shooters in Queensland shouldn't be allowed to own firearms. Only police should be allowed to own firearms. Now that concerns me. So that's all I'm going to read from that story today, from the actual news article. But I want to go into the gist of it. Now, in Queensland, as it said, a petition is closed with over 122,000 signatures. It's the largest ever for an e-petition in the state, calling to change the self-defence provisions of the criminal code. Now, this idea being, if someone breaks into your home, you can use whatever force necessary to defend yourself, instead of the current law, which says you must use reasonable force. The group behind it is the Qatar Australia Party, and it's their second go at this castle law thing. Now, the government, meanwhile, says there's no current plans to change what the laws say. So many Queenslanders, they feel vulnerable. I know I feel vulnerable sort of at night in my own home, because home invasions, break-ins, especially in regional areas and even in the suburbs, are growing. The police data might say they're not, but they're growing. And it's not just about youth doing it. It's seasoned criminals as well. Now, this petition shows there's a strong feeling that the law might not be keeping pace with how people feel about their own safety. The voice matters, though. The existing law already provides self-defense protections when someone is under a genuine threat. As legal specialist Nick Dorr in that article says, if someone is under a genuine threat, the law currently is on their side. All dust. I know of many people who have defended their home, defended their family, and have gone to prison or been dragged through the legal system because the police automatically say, no, you used excessive force. What's excessive force? Who gets to judge what that is? Now, as in many cases, the system is aware of the risk and there's a space for victims to be protected. That's what they're saying on the legal side of things. But the petition stimulates public conversation about this topic. What does it mean to feel safe in your home? What is reasonable force? As I just said, who decides what that reasonable force is? Now, these are important community questions. Have you asked them? Do you ask your family? Do you ask the police officer on the street? Do you ask your local member of parliament? Now, it emphasises the need for government to respond to community concerns about crime, personal safety, and how to deter those sorts of attacks. The fact is the petition is so big, it means that the message is loud. People want action. And you knew there would be a but there, because there always is. There are risks that we're going to have to watch out for. The big concern is the phrase, whatever means necessary. As I said to you, it's really broad. It's just something they've just brushed in there. It doesn't give any clarity. And that worries the legal experts who fear it could lead to disproportionate violence, vigilantism, or it could turn non-violent situations into violent situations. Now, none of us knows, not even the courts know what the intention is of someone who breaks into your house, whether it's just to steal, whether they're not going to lash out at you if they're caught. The courts can't decide that. Who's going to decide, oh, that person had the propensity to kill me if I didn't sort them out in my own house? They were there to cause a crime, to commit a crime. That should be what's enough. But reasonable force should still come into it. Like if someone comes in totally unarmed into your home to steal stuff and then starts getting violent with you, you can't go pulling out a firearm, because that is not proportionate to what it says. Hello, mate. Now, removing the condition of reasonable force may blur the line between defence and aggression. That's my whole point of that. Now, another worry, it's not just youth committing these home invasions. Some of these offences involve adult organised crime, repeat offenders. If the public narrative narrows to youth intrusion, you risk missing the broader picture of mistargeting responses. Now, while the article doesn't give full stats on that age breakdown, the government spokesperson did say they're delivering adult crime, adult time, an early intervention for youth. But that's focusing on youth doing these crimes. Adult crime, adult time doesn't go for adults already doing adult time, or adults who would be required to do adult time anyway. Now, if people feel empowered to use extreme force on their property, what happens when someone makes a bad judgment? Mistake, misperception, fear could all lead to tragic consequences for homeowners and intruders alike. The law may not be set up to reward that or to even adequately judge that. There's also risk of escalation. Someone breaks in, a homeowner reacts in what might have been an unavoidable violent situation. Intruder dies or gets hurt, then legal and moral ramifications follow. Another case of good intention but bad outcome. We all make bad mistakes in life. This is one of the words. How would you like if someone broke into your house, they weren't armed, and you accidentally killed them, or you purposely killed them? Because that is what some people will do if this law is changed. You do have your rednecks out there. You do have your psychos out there that will use it to, okay, he's in my house, I'll kill him. Now, A law change like this might give a false sense of security as well. If underlying issues, youth crime, social support, prevention, policing aren't addressed, the root problem stays there. The government pointed out that the victim numbers are down to 6.5% in Queensland. So if people focus on more rights to use force, they might neglect how did we stop the crime in the first place. Now, I want to just bring a little bit of scripture into this because I am faith-based. And I want to bring in Romans 12, verse 9. Let love be genuine. Abhor what is evil. Hold fast to what is good. Now, in our context of this story, we want to hold fast to what is good. Safety, life, protection of the innocent. We must abhor the evil of intrusion, violence, and injustice, but restraint, with restraint. As believers, our defense of others and ourselves must not lead us into patterns of aggression or vengeance. The call is for justice and protection, yes, but tempered with compassion and discernment. And that's what every single one of us needs to understand. Now, what's your views on this? I want to hear from you, my viewers. Have you ever felt unsafe in your own home or known someone who has? Now, what does your interpretation of reasonable force mean to you? Do you think laws should change so people can defend their homes more vigorously? Or are you worried about the whatever means necessary wording like I am? Drop me a message, leave a comment, or email. My email is in the description of both of my channels. Let's keep the discussion happening. Let's share stories, thoughts, and concerns. We'll use some of your input for the next video I do on this segment. So, all right, folks, that's long. I think I've carried on long enough for that. We've covered what's going on in Queensland about the Castle Law petition. That's good, about the momentum and what's risky. One final thought, though. Feeling safe at home is a very human, real need. But how do we achieve that safety lawfully and in a way that honours our community and each person's dignity? Because some of those people who are breaking into your house unarmed are doing it because they need to eat. Some do it because they have a drug addiction. We need to pray for them as well. But we don't know their complete circumstances. It's still wrong, but we don't know the complete circumstances. And what right do we have to possibly kill them for those circumstances? Now, that's the tricky part in my eyes. So thanks for tuning in to Voice in the Wilderness Australia. If you found this video helpful, hit the subscribe, drop a review, tell a friend. Next week, we'll look at another story, but stay alert, stay compassionate, stay grounded in your faith. And until next time, I'm Brian, and we'll keep walking this path together. Bless you.